Hi, I'm Brandy McDonald. I'm a features and entertainment writer for the Oklahoman and News OK, and I am here with some fine, lovely zombies, as well with Rex Doherty and Aaron Woods from Reduxion Theatre, and we're going to talk about OKC Dead, which is a new production that Reduxion is bringing to town, and talk a little bit about how you brought this production to Oklahoma City, because I understand it started in Washington, D.C.
Well, we were looking to do something fun this Halloween season. We definitely wanted something that was interactive and something that that wasn't your typical show. And we were talking about developing an original program for Halloween, but we're talking to our great friend Rex Doherty from Washington, D.C., and he's a guest artist that we worked with in the past, and we've been trying to find a project to work with again. And he said, I have the perfect show. It fits all your requirements, and it's this great thing that we did last year that was fantastic. And he pitched the whole thing, and it was totally up our alley, and it was so fun. And I'll let him talk about it.
Yeah, I think this has an interesting origin story of a bachelorette party. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was actually the maid of honor for my sister's wedding last year, and I threw her an atypical bachelorette party, as I am an atypical bachelorette. So as part of her bachelorette, it was a bachelorette surprise zombie apocalypse party, and we did a typical bar crawl in Georgetown, and I had actors staged at each of these bars who would come up to the bride and be like, ladies, some really dangerous stuff is happening tonight. I'm not sure what is going on, but here's a helmet, or here's a flashlight. And she kept collecting the survival gear as she went throughout her evening. And I had friends back from Oklahoma and home texting her saying, are you okay? What's happening in Washington? And she was like, what's going on? And I was like, I don't know, we're having fun, woo! And eventually, two of the bachelorettes turned into zombies and started attacking. But she was ready, because she was equipped. So she takes off running, and I'm like, no, follow me. And we ran into the basement of this school, an acting school where I teach, the National Conservatory of Dramatic Arts. And a friend of mine, Vaughn Irving, had helped, who was another actor and producer in DC. He had tricked out the school with, smoke and haze and strobe lights and blood on the walls. And when we ran in, I had an ammo cache of Nerf guns, and I was like, Jamel, my sister, it's the zombie apocalypse, we have to survive. And so we ran through the school, shooting all the zombies, and when we got into the theater, we had a big lighting effect, and her fiance was chained to the ceiling, and he was like, save me! And then we had a big shootout of several actor friends of mine who volunteered to be zombies for this night. They're like, great, this sounds amazing. And Vaughn Irving, who is now my co-partner, or my partner with OKC Dead LLC, and he and I were like, that was so much fun. How do we make this into a show? Because it was like 4 minutes long, because we were just pumped with adrenaline, but when we timed it, it was like, yeah, 4 minutes. So we had to figure out how to write a story. So we wrote a plot. It's a 45 minutes long. We did it last year in this abandoned restaurant, and it had been converted into a few theater spaces by the Capitol Fringe Festival. And we took over 3 floors of this restaurant and took audiences on a mission throughout 3 floors of this building. And it was a huge success. We're doing it again this year in DC. But last year, after we had so much fun doing it, we were like, let's get it to other cities. Let's infect somewhere else. So, so I was here this spring, and I was just meeting up with Tyler and Woods and Aaron of Reduxion, and I was like, they were telling me what they wanted to do that spring, or for the following year, and I was like, I think I have something. But like Aaron was saying, I was like, this might just be crazy enough to for you to bite into, if you will. So.
The zombies don't like puns.
Yeah.
What's wrong with them? I thought zombies were supposed to like puns.
But the best part about this show is that Rex has taken this very successful project that they've done in DC and continued this year, and he has adapted it specifically for Reduxion, for Oklahoma City and then for the Civic Center, because as you can imagine, a show of this style is really based on space. So we were given sort of all we needed at the Civic Center, several floors. I think we're using 4 floors total. Yeah. And as you can imagine, a space like the Civic Center has a bunch of really crazy behind-the-scenes spaces. As an artist that works there, you don't even see these spaces on a regular basis. They're kind of crazy and all over the place. And we're taking audience members throughout the whole thing.
So it's an interesting, it's like a zombie tour of the Civic Center?
That's
that was
right.
something that they didn't expect to come.
We call it a live-action zombie apocalypse experience. And it's part theater, because there is a mission, there's a story, but you're not sitting and watching it, so it's immersive theater because you're taken with, on a tour, on a mission. So it's part theater and it's part live-action video game, because we equip you with a gun, and you go through and you try to kill the zombies, and they are actually trying to tag the audience. We call the audience recruits, because we need new recruits to help the survival effort in the apocalypse. So our new recruits help us find the vaccine. The mission is to find the cure for the zombie infection, and but your obstacle, of course, is zombies. And they will. All of our audience members have a white T-shirt, and which we call the infection barometer. And the zombies have stage blood on their hands, and they try to tag you. And if you get too many tags, you turn into one of the zombies. And then what's fun about that is you get to turn around and attack your friends. So you get to be, you can be both. You can both be the living and the dead in this show. So
it's kind of a choose-your-own-adventure a little bit in that sense.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly right. And
the audience is the main character in the show, so
yeah.
it's kind of a thing I've never seen before and I've never done. So you are in no way watching the show; you are fully immersed.
Right, and there are choose-your-own-adventure moments that change the story. The audience gets to vote on and decide whether or not they will do certain activity that. Moments of action are brought to a decision for the group, and you have to decide, what do we do? And there's actually multiple endings. There are different ways that the whole story ends based on your decisions throughout the mission. So that's sort of the video game element, because I'm coming at it not from a zombie aficionado place. My partner Vaughn, he's a huge zombie nut, so he supplied a lot of the zombie stuff. And I approached it more as a gamer, and how can we give the audience members the true experience of owning a show? So many times you sit back and you watch, but this show you drive the bus, and so audience members get to decide not just what they do along the way, but actually what the story ends up being. So it's completely immersive and a lot of fun.
Aaron, how does this sort of fit into the wider mission for Reduction? Because you experimented you've always been sort of an interactive type of theater company, but then last year you kind of upped it a little bit with your Jane Austen Christmas Cracker.
And we're doing that again, yeah.
Which was an interactive kind of ball experience. And so how does this fit into what your mission is to provide interactive theater?
Well, our mission is to do shows, and we've always concentrated on classical theater, giving that a new twist, giving audience members a new experience with a show they perhaps are already familiar with or have seen before. And in that sort of mission, we have found that the newest trends in theater throughout the country and throughout the world are kind of making it a lot more intimate, giving the one-on-one communication, which is why you go to the theater, which is why we're not watching this on television or seeing a film version of this. We want that human-to-human interaction, and exploring what that means and what it means as far as the arts go. And what we found is that just means we're getting more and more interactive with our audience. We're asking them to attend a party and not come and watch a play. We're asking them to come up on stage with our actors in one way or another. In our children's theater, we're inviting the kids up on stage to play a role with us as we do a show. And this took it to just a whole other place, because there is a difference between asking an audience member to participate momentarily in a moment, or talk to them directly, and then Rex's idea is to make them the main character of the play, that makes decisions, that changes how the story is. That is taking it to a whole other level. And our first two shows are OKC Dead in October, and then Jane Austen's Christmas Cracker. We're doing an updated, different script this time at a ballroom at the Civic Center, and we are so excited. It was wildly popular, and we had so much more audience participation than even we had predicted. We thought, oh, we're going to ask them to dance, and some of them will and some of them won't. Everybody wanted to dance with our characters and our actors. They wanted to be a party goer instead of just an audience member. And we're finding more and more that people are so excited about this OKC Dead because it's taking that theater experience to another level. And as Rex pointed out, the reception that they received in Washington, D.C. was that haunted house aficionados loved it because it's a long-form, more interactive version of a haunted house. It's not about scaring you or getting that scream or giving you that gore moment, but it's more about putting you in the action and letting you live this experience. And theater goers loved it because it's just this totally different level of interactive theater. And it's so much fun. And by the way, you get to shoot Nerf guns. I don't know any other theater in town that's giving you a Nerf gun and teaching you how to use it and then letting you loose on some zombies. That's pretty great. Yeah.
Well, can I talk to the zombies? Of course. Okay, good. I didn't just get an arr. I wasn't sure what I was going to get there. So, but you guys are all actors, and so what has the experience through the rehearsals been like getting to play a zombie?
Oh my goodness.
Oh. It's so much fun.
It's been great.
It's a blast.
The first several days of rehearsal, we did a lot of movement stuff just to figure out how zombies move and how we can give the audience the most real experience with a zombie real experience, you know. We had to figure out how to give them that experience and be safe at the same time. So it was really fun to do all those movement exercises and bond with our zombie friends. It was really fun.
I like the zombie smiling.
I'm sorry, it's our bad. Hang on.
It's a little bit strange. So yes, growling is fine, smiling not so much. But talk about how this ties into classical theater, Erin, because it doesn't seem very classical. But
well, the original idea that we had for the October show was a show that was based on Grand Guignol, which is a historic piece of theater, a French theater that was all about a movement of raw, visceral horror. Or sometimes sexual in nature kind of theater, and it was really wildly popular. We did a show in 2012 called Night of Grand Guignol, and it was one of our most popular shows ever, and it was so much fun to do and explore, and we performed these older scripts, these scripts written, you know, 100, 150 years ago. And we wanted to do something along those lines this year, but we wanted to explore a new idea, and so we were actually trying to come up with an original idea for a show that had these roots in this kind of raw, visceral, gory kind of theater. And when Rex came along and proposed DC Dead for Oklahoma City, it was like the perfect marriage of that. Because Penny Dreadful and that style of literature and the Grand Guignol style of raw, visceral theater, in your face, throwing acid on the audience. I mean, these are the kinds of tricks that were first explored in this kind of historic theater. Well, this is just like that, but put in a contemporary setting. Because right now, zombies are everywhere. Everybody wants to talk about the idea of the zombie apocalypse. It's everywhere in pop culture, and we basically are giving our audience the opportunity to live that. And so it does have those ties to classical literature and classical theater, but it's not as an obvious a tie as, say, doing an older script. It's sort of like our take on Penny Dreadful and Grand Guignol.
I'd also say there's an atmosphere of classical theater because, I mean, Shakespeare's audiences were super rowdy. And it was like his plays were immersive. They were 20 feet from everyone was just right there. You could touch them. The audience would sing along with different songs that were put into the play, and there was a rowdiness of golden age classical Shakespearean dramas and comedies that I think this taps into as well. It showcases the medium of theater because it's a live event. You know, like you can't do this with a film. In a film, again, you sit and watch. But with live action, with live performers, you have the human connection that you can only have in the theater, and that's what I think is so lasting about Shakespeare's plays, and that what you at Reduction have done so well is created that relationship from the actors to the audience.
To the audience, yeah.
You know, I experienced that doing Richard III, where which I did with Reduction in 2012. It was super fun. The audience member were always a partner. They were always a scene partner, whether it was something like handing them a prop and they would take it and wait until I asked for it back. Or if they were just in the soliloquies, they were my acting partners. Actually in that show, a lot of people talked back to me. And amazingly, Shakespeare always had the next line to answer them. I think that is a huge tie-in to just the atmosphere and the feel of a lot of classical work, is how rowdy this play is.
So Rex and I and my husband Tyler, we all met doing classical theater. We all have a classical background. So even though this show feels terribly contemporary and is very much so, very much a pop culture awesome thing to do, it still has its roots because we're still all Shakespeare nerds at the end of the day, and that's what we are.
I always thought you were a Jane Austen nerd.
I'm both.
Okay.
There's room for both.
She can be a Jane Austen geek
Oh,
and
that's true.
Shakespeare nerd.
And a zombie aficionado.
then
And a zombie aficionado.
Star Wars
There you
is
go.
sprinkled in all over.
Yeah.
Nice, very nice. It's like a nerd sandwich.
That's right.
So tell me how people can join the OKC Dead mission. When and where can they do this? How can they sign up?
We're doing it at the Civic Center, and the dates are October 8th through the 31st. We're doing it Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights, and missions or shows start at 7 p.m. And you can go to the to the Civic Center website, which is okcciviccenter.com, and you can buy tickets or give them a call and order over the phone. We'll take it any way we can. And there are 8 people per show, because I've had a lot of calls of people going, can I come with a group? We do eight audience members per show, and the shows run every 20 minutes. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Come one, come all.
11 shows a night.
That's right, 11 shows a night.
That's a lot of zombies. So you guys are going to be very busy. So, well, to read more, we'll have more in the Oklahoman and on News OK if you want to learn more about OKC Dead. And thanks for coming and invading.